Thank you. I'm sorry I was late. I was at an immigration hearing. But I guess so I may have missed some things. I'm just more curious when we talk about efficiency, and waste, fraud, and abuse is one piece and an important piece. If I walked into the director's office, or when the director comes to work, is there a dashboard with colors like red, green, yellow? If there's 50 things to track, that you might see 35 greens, and 8 yellows and so many reds, to know where we put our attention that day? I mean, that level of metrics and data, does that exist?
Well, in all candor, I have no idea what's on the administrator's desk. I don't know what she has. So I can't really speak to actually how they track. I do know that, for example, in our management challenges report, that's a report that we issue annually with the color ratings of the most serious management challenges and the specific things that we need to see improvement, that actually have red, green, and yellow. I will tell you that those meetings don't happen at the administrator level, except for when maybe when it's issued. But those are meetings that happen often, not daily. I'm talking more about my work, where we will, again, stay in contact with them and have kind of in-process meetings. Where are we? Where do you think we're going? What is the next report going to look like? But quite frankly, as far as what she faces when she wakes up in the morning and goes, I just don't know.
That would be interesting to know, because we'd like to think the focus was on return.
Right.
So on what we would call efficiency or process mapping, does that go on, or do you look at that to say, here's a department processing loan applications? I'm thinking the Lean Six Sigma model of process mapping to take waste out or make it more efficient, and therefore reduce the need for people, so that maybe we could do with fewer or do more with less?
Well, I think that a lot of our audit reports are focused on that type of, given the fact that one of the things the IGX says we're to do is to promote economy and efficiency. I think in government programs it says something almost directly like that. That's something that we look at very often, is whether the programs are running as efficiently. So I don't know, again, how they do it, but I certainly hope and think that our audits will touch on that and talk about efficiencies that can be had and whether the process needs to be changed. Like any agency, SBA is slow. I think there are some things being done at SBA that have been done that way a long time, and so I think that they are. That's always something that we try to look at and to see if there are improvements that can be made.
I think perhaps if you asked the question and said, give me a list of 50 processes and which ones you can tackle, and then you go back in with an audit and say, how many steps does it take to process this loan application? Now, first, they're probably going to say they don't know. So then you make them process map it, and it comes back that there's 57 steps.
Right.
And then you say, okay, we can cut that down to 23. That makes it more efficient, less prone to mistakes. And if you held them accountable for that, over a period of time, they would become more efficient, because they know you're asking the questions to which initially they probably don't have the answers, right?
Right.
Just, in looking at that piece of efficiency where you can do more with less, because people cost a lot of money, just a suggestion that kind of process mapping, process improvement could make it so they could get their job done and with less folks.
Well, it's an interesting idea, and my head of audits is right behind me and is probably chomping at the bit. He loves that kind of stuff. So I'm sure that we'll have a discussion further on what we can do.
Because I can tell you, I've never yet seen a buffet line that you can't reorganize and make efficient.
Okay.
So every process can be, I think, made more efficient. I think there's a rule of thumb. You can probably reduce 22% of the personnel costs and probably cut most of the steps almost in half. But the key thing there, it takes the waste out, and then also the errors. The more time someone touches that piece of paper, the more opportunity is for someone to make a mistake.
Right.
And sometimes you have to implement technology to get rid of the people side, but technology, if it's done right, is less prone to mistakes.
Sure.
So just a couple of suggestions. Thanks for keeping your eye on our tax dollars, and
well, thank you.
keep up the good work.